All right, guys. I got, as you say quite often, I got my man, Alf Arteaga. I think the world of him. I think he's a great guy. I think he really knows the game. And I'm going to be here just to ask questions. Let him tell you his side of it, his eval on this all-important week 1 game. It's not going to determine a season, but we really got to come out with the win. It really is going to unveil what this team looks like. You can't really make too much out of preseason. You can hint. So I'm just going to talk about the matchups, what he thinks, and really try to pick his brain for you guys so you can get your grubby little hands like me on what Alf thinks and what he's got going down over there. So, Alf, thank you as always. I always appreciate the time you take to come on my channel over here. How you been doing? What's going on?
I'm doing great. Football already started if you're a college fan, and it started pretty well down here with a win against Notre Dame. But the NFL starts up in a less than, where are we at? -6, 18 hours. 18 hours, we got Eagles, Cowboys. So
can't wait.
That should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So have you finalized your matchups and your concept of what this game's going to look like? Had you have a real feel for it at this point?
Yeah, I've given it a once over, which is to say that I kind of know what they're going to want to get to and what they're going to try to do defensively, which is, it's very, very different from what they did last year. And if you remember, that game last year was a real snooze fest. But one thing that Miami did do last year was they were able to run the football last year with not much of a threat from the passing game. This time they have a threat from the passing game, meaning they have their quarterback back.
100%.
And, and they're going to have a full complement of weapons, except Jalen Wright. So they should be okay in that regard. We might even see the unveiling of Darren Waller in short yardage and in on the goal line. So that
seems
should be
to be
also
legit.
Interested to see. Yeah.
So do you think, I think this week 1 game is massive. I think it's massive if we win, because then you got the Pats next week, and that's a really good chance to win. Although Vrabel, he's really good, but I just love our matchups against their offensive line. And if we lose, it's big too, because we've got to rack up some of these, like we're supposed to win games. So do you think this week 1 is a big deal, or am I making more of it than I should?
Well, it's only a big deal if you lose,
Yeah.
If you win, nobody cared. You were supposed to beat them. Although they were underdogs until like a few days ago when everybody just woke up and realized, oh, wait a minute. We got to stop trashing the Dolphins because they're going to actually start playing games right now. And I'm noticing everybody in the national media starting to hedge their bets. Oh, if they're healthy, they're going to be good. I'm like, okay, so this is the only team that you're making prognostications based on, breakdowns in health for their entire team. So yeah, it's only a big deal. Yeah, it's only a big deal if they lose. If they lose, now they got to make it up somewhere where they're not likely to win, right? And this team has had trouble doing that in the McDaniel, even in the Flores era. It's been a while since they went and they did something extraordinary, beating a team that were not supposed to beat in their place, right? This team can be counted on to play pretty good football at home and be kind of average on the road. So all of these are important. You're playing an AFC opponent on the road. Every time you chalk up one of those wins, that's a feather in your cap toward making the playoffs. So
yes, sir.
Yeah, in that regard, yeah, it is a pretty big game.
Do you think? I know a lot of Dolphin fans think this is going to be an easy win, 14 points or something. Do you don't have to break a prediction, but do you think they're going to challenge us?
There's a way that they can. I like their DC, their defensive coordinator, Lou Anarumo. Although he got fired in Cincinnati, he just didn't have the horses in Cincinnati.
No.
He's going to have a few better players here in Indianapolis. His system, however, it's one that's conducive to giving up the big play if he actually stays true to what has been his ethos for his whole career. He's a hell of a defensive coordinator, but he does take chances. So, when he takes chances and he keeps rolling 7s and 11s, then he's going to be fine. But, what happens if we gain leverage on a glance route and Tua hits it and now you have Jalen Waddle or Tyreek Hill in space with just a safety in front of them. So
you think they're going to go kind of bring the blitz, leave one safety over the top? They're not going to go cover 2, cover 3?
Well, it's what Lou Anarumo has always done. It's it's hard for a guy to change his stripes. Like even the last time that they played him in Cincinnati on Thursday Night Football. That was the game that Tua got injured. If you remember in that game, Tua was actually playing pretty well when he got injured. And what Cincinnati kept doing, and I tossed the rest of the game because the rest of the game was with Teddy Bridgewater. And then once you have the backup quarterback in there, all bets are off. The game plan goes out the window, right? But while Tua was in there, they were bringing blitzes, and they were going to live and die by their matchups outside. And Tua was hitting those intermediate windows to Gesicki and to Tyreek and to Jalen Waddle, and gaining pretty big chunks. So if you remember, there was a drop touchdown in the end zone. If not, Tua would have had 2 touchdown passes to start that game. So it's hard for him to change his stripes. There's numbers to suggest that the Dolphins had trouble throwing against the blitz last year. So maybe they try to rely on those numbers from last year and they try to bring a few more this year. So if they do bring the blitz, I do expect a long touchdown from
if you look at it, Tua had 25.5, then he went down to 23 and then 20 last year blitz rate. He does work well against the blitz, so, if he doesn't get hit or whatever. But I don't know. I think that's really risky. I guess we'll keep going with the offense versus defense, but you look at them. They got Howard. We're going to get into that a little bit. Moore the second's not bad. Ward's not so good. They got Cross, who's pretty decent. Poor linebackers. They got Bynum's, I don't know if they got the talent. If that
their nickel is really good. Kenny Moore is one of the best nickel backs in all of football. So I think that there's maybe 5 guys that you can name that are top nickels, and he's one of them. So their nickel is going to be really good. You got to figure he's going to draw a lot of Malik Washington. I don't know if Miami's going to move Tyreek inside. He hasn't practiced that much the last couple of weeks. He's returned to practice this week. So will he actually put all of that on Tyreek's plate for this game?
That's a great point.
I'd say no. So if there's going to be a guy who Kenny Moore's going to draw in coverage on the inside, it might be Jalen Waddle because he's been practicing this whole time. But, he's a really good player. I like Zaire Franklin quite a bit. But other than that, I completely agree with you. Latu is a hell of a player.
Yeah.
And Brenson Buckner DeForest Buckner. Brenson Buckner is his father. DeForest Buckner. Remember Brenson Buckner used to be pretty good with the 49ers, I believe.
Yeah, you're showing your age.
Yeah, DeForest Buckner's a hell of a defensive tackle, one of the best 10 in football. So they're not hopeless by any.
No, they got Stewart too. Stewart's pretty darn good, and Pay's pretty good. Pay's a good run stopper.
Yeah, Kwity Paye was supposed to be better than what he is, but it's that's the problem with nowadays when you take a guy in the first round. Everybody's like waiting for him to be a star, and if he's not a star, then it's kind of a failed first round pick. I look at it a bit different. If you can envision this guy playing 10 years for you, then it was a pretty successful first round pick. You know?
And these guys get better as time goes on. I mean, look at Melvin Ingram. It took him 4 or 5 years to finally put it together, because he was just like a one-dimensional guy. Now, Howard, Xavier Howard. What's the deal with that? You think this is just like, because they lost their 3rd round pick to an injury they went on IR. Is Howard anything? Can he get revenge, or is he just a shell of himself? Or did he go get stem cell therapy on that knee?
I'm pretty sure he did. But Xavier Howard, the good thing about Xavier Howard is that you know where you can find him. He's going to be on the outside. He's not going to play in the slot.
Yep.
He's never been a good slot corner, so he's not going to travel with a guy to the slot. So if you could engineer plays out of play action to try to isolate him on the field side especially, so you could give your guy plenty of room to run routes, then I think that's something you got to exploit. Now, I know I'm talking a lot about using the passing game to exploit this and exploit the other thing, but none of that's going to work unless you actually stick to what has been the ethos of this team. Running on first down, having a consistent running game and employing the run, have some balance, get yourself into those second and manageables. I don't mind throwing on 2nd and 10. In fact, I believe running the football on 2nd and 10 is probably the worst play in football.
Yeah. You brought that up. It made me think a lot about it. I think the last time or before that.
But if you're running on 2nd and 6, it's not such a bad thing. You know what I'm saying?
No. 2-way go downs on 2nd down is life, man. You've got to be, even 2nd and 8, man. It's just those 2 yards. You pick up 4 or 3, and it's now a manageable 3rd. I agree, man. You may change my mind a lot on that. I was old school, man. 2nd and 10, man. Run that ball 50% of the time. But you're right. But manageable 2nd downs are a beautiful thing. We need that.
Yeah.
So we were talking before in the little side room, you talked about how he ripped apart the Colts last year on the ground. I think the offensive line is better than last year. And if we could run that football, I don't see how they can stop us. If we're able to do that, and can we? That's the thing I want to know. Can we? Can I finally stop saying, run the damn football?
Well, here's the thing. They're going to be able to hang their hat on a few things that they've done consistently here in preseason. They've stuck to inside zone. They like to run inside zone. So you're going to see some of that. One thing I haven't seen is a lot of too much ISO, and which is odd to me because they're like the perfect ISO team. If you could run duo with Aaron Brewer on either side with Daniels or with Jonah, it figures to be a pretty good combination, right? To run duo, run ISO right behind those guys. They haven't done much of that, if at all, I believe, in preseason. I kept looking for them to run duo. They never did. They did run duo a couple of times with Paul and Jonah, but they haven't with anybody else. We know Austin Jackson is best as outside zone specialist, working his way to the next level. What Austin Jackson is really good at is blocking a gap over. So maybe they're going to lean on a lot of their pet plays, outside zone to the right and inside zone to the left. And they're going to have the backs for that, I believe, because oddly enough, Devon Achane has always been a pretty good inside runner. I just fear that, they give him too many touches. I want him fresh toward the end of the season.
Yeah.
So if they put him on a pitch count, I'll be really impressed.
And you brought up a good point, too, about Ingold. Really didn't see him all preseason. And I think he really nails it in the run block department, or he doesn't. But that's a big piece to this puzzle, and because the Colts are not good at stopping a run. They were 27th or something like that.
Yeah, no, they weren't. One thing a lot of people were wondering is, like, why would you cut somebody like Farrell Brown? Because he has a reputation as an inline tight end.
He was sucking.
Well, first of all, he was bad. Okay, so that's one reason you cut him. The second reason you cut him is because this team has demonstrated they don't really want to have an inline tight end. They don't want to condense formations. They want that linebacker to be in that scrape position. They want that linebacker to be playing right over the tackle. So that way they can use their combinations to move up to the second level and block linebackers and actually get them out in the wash. They don't want condensed formations. So, that's part of the reason. They're not really going to employ too many inline blockers at tight end this year. So they're going to want to have that move tight end working. So we're back to Julian Hill, who's had his moments, had his bad moments as well. His problems I think are obvious, man. If you break down his film, and I know fans have had, their problems with him. The penalties are that's just awful football. You just can't have those, especially when you're kind of a specialist. Julian Hill's problem is really you can't throw him the football. He's just not a good receiver. He's not a natural receiver. But as a move tight end, he's had some success. He was better than Durham Smythe.
Oh,
so, they're banking on his further development. And if it doesn't come this year, then you got yourself a position that they're going to have to address heavily in not in free agency, because I don't think they want to spend on a tight end, but definitely in the draft.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And,
And that's been a beef. That's been a beef I've had with this team. Although I've really liked the last two drafts. Okay, I thought that Chris Greer got essentially nothing out of the drafts where he traded away the picks to gain Bradley Chubb, Tyreek Hill, and Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah.
He essentially punted on 3 drafts right there. That's a bad thing.
Oh, I don't like that.
But
I,
I kind of like what he's done the last 2 years. The only thing I don't like is that I think he's ignored some pretty decent tight end talent that was available to them in the middle rounds the last 2 years. And I think that's something they could have used.
I agree. Well, you move up for Jonas, you kind of lose that mid-round pick. Jonah pans out. It's totally worth it. I was big a couple of years ago. The Packers took him Kraft, and he was hanging around there for a while. We could have had him, and he's a darn good tight end. But,
and then they recovered the pick by trading a 4th this year for a 3rd next year. Remember?
Yeah.
They did that too.
Which is nice.
Yeah, you stock up next year's draft. But meanwhile, that could have been your tight end right there with that pick.
Yeah, for me, it's like that's a really great move for a regime that's in the development process. But at year 4, people are saying McDaniel's gone and Greer's gone if things don't play out. But everything is showing you that this doesn't look like, unless they're handing it off to somebody else. That
people have the thing is that people have a misconception of Greer must think that he's really, really safe. No, Greer knows he has 2 years left on his contract.
Yeah.
So he's going to do his job. So he's going to prepare the team for next season as if he's going to be here. Because if he gets fired, he's getting paid anyway. So why not do your job? The worst thing you could do is just panic and try to put all your assets into this season.
That's a good point. I agree.
So he's gonna manage the team as if he's going to be here long term. And that's why he made that trade. Personally, I would have not made that trade, although it's nice. It's going to look really nice on the ledger next year when you look at it, and then all of a sudden you got 2 third-round picks. So you're going to have 4 top 100 picks. That's going to look really, really nice to fill out this team next year. But I kind of would have liked to have seen them gone after a tight end for this season.
Who was there with that pick that we didn't
Jackson Hawes from Georgia Tech was the big guy that everybody wanted. I don't know where he went, but he went around that area. He went 4th or 5th round. So
no, I can't blame Greer for that. It's just that when you're in your 10th year and you're this kind of barren in certain areas, it really does speak to what he's done in the past. But I don't want to go about the past. I don't want to talk about Greer. I don't want to go about past anymore. So we've got the Dolphins offense going against Amaruno. I never can say it. Amaruo. I'm not Italian. Everyone thinks I'm Italian, but I'm German, so I can't even say these Italian names. But
Anarumo.
Yeah, that guy. He was with us too, wasn't he? At one point.
Yeah, he was with us. He was with us for a little while. Yeah, he's from the Parcells tree.
That's right. Yep. So I do think if we get this run game going, our offense is going to be successful, put points on. Now it's going to come down to our defense, which ironically, after all these years, it seems to be the strong point of this team. I like Weaver. Crazy Eyes Jones. He's just, I watch him play. I'm like, oh, wow, that's a really good play. Maybe this guy's finally got it. And then next play, I'm like, what the heck is this guy doing? He is, he is very mercurial. He's very all over the place. They got some nice talent. That offensive line, extremely talented. They got Warren. They got a bunch of guys. They got Pierce. They got Downs. They got Pittman. They've got enough. Taylor, who's not what he used to be, but they drafted, I think they picked up a running back in mid-rounds, and then they got a guy in UDFA. But there's enough talent here to really attack this team. But Jones is, I'm happy because, I want to see us win. But can this offense be a danger to this defense? The front is, I think this front seven with all the guys in the background is the best we've seen in a long time. I'm still concerned about the cornerback group. I like Minka. I'm still concerned about the safety too. Is Weaver going to do what he did last year, which is really kind of constrict this Colts team? I mean, they pulled it out in the end because they had Richardson just running all day, and he just ran and ran and ran. Can this Colts defense off a Dolphins defense stop this Colts offense, or is it already a done deal that they got Jones and it's no going nowhere, no bueno?
Well, I think the key is going to be, and I saw this stat, and I think it was really instructive. Miami is the best team at the line of scrimmage with their, and this is last season, with their front seven making contact, but they were the worst team after contact last year. That just tells you how many missed tackles they had. While being the best on the line of scrimmage last year on the defensive line and with their linebackers, they still only managed to be 9th against the run. So that tells you how many missed tackles they had last year.
They had a lot.
So they've gone and they've been intentional about changing that. And you can tell, like, even at cornerback, all these guys that they've added at cornerback are guys that traditionally have been very good tacklers throughout their career.
Except Jack Jones.
Yeah, Jack Jones, he'll try to hit you.
He'll try.
But he's not a sure tackler. Rasul Douglas is.
Yes.
In the nickel, Jason Marshall, if he's going to play, and I believe he will, Jason Marshall, he's a hell of a tackler. You saw him in those 2 preseason games. Sure tackler. We'll put his head in there. And it also helps he's big.
Guy's big, real big. Almost safety big.
Yeah, he's kind of safety big. And it was instructive when Anthony Weaver says that it's something when you see a guy that can play linebacker, but he moves like a defensive back. So that shows you that he's going to be a nice little chess piece for Anthony Weaver. We know Minka is one of the most surest tacklers, especially in the box in all of football. And, everybody that they added at defensive tackle, especially Kenneth Grant, who works his way up and down the line, gets his hands on a lot of ball carriers. They're going to be good in that regard. And remember, Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips are back. So they made a lot of positive changes. Improve on what was a decent run defense, not a great run defense. So I do expect them to improve in that regard. And that's going to be key in this game.
Oh, 100%. They can't run on it. If they start running on us, we're in big trouble.
If you stop Jonathan Taylor, it's a wrap. It's a wrap because then your offense could just go out there and put up 21 points, and that's going to be enough.
Yep.
Although that's not what you want. You want to go out there, you want to put up a number. You want to put up 30 points. You want to look good doing it. You want to feel good about coming back home for your first division game of the season. Yeah. So, that's going to be key is stopping the run. And with Daniel Jones, I just don't, I know they have Jim Bob Cooter. I've watched him for a very long time. I know he likes to throw the ball on early downs. I just don't see it. I don't see how they're going to actually get to doing that. But it's going to be a pretty simple formula. Stop the run on first down and play to get into 3rd and long. And if you get into 3rd and long,
forget on 3rd and long.
Miami could just bring their pass rush along, and that should be the game because I think they're going to get home. Because I like this offensive line for the Colts, but I like the Miami pass rush pretty much against anybody.
Well, the only thing I agree. The only thing is, how do they get that pressure? They bring in 5, and if they bring 5. Obviously they will generate pressure and hopefully, but then you got less and less of these questionable guys out there. Jack Jones, I like a ton, 50% of the time. Duck's solid at this stage. Rasul Douglas, he's good in zone, short areas, but if it gets long, he gets beat. You got Minka patrolling, and I love Brooks and Dotson. More Brooks and Dotson. I like them both, though. But you got Warren. This guy looks like he's a real player. Can this offensive line draw enough blitzing to expose a secondary? I don't know. And that's going to be the thing.
That's the thing with Anthony Weaver. Anthony Weaver plays a pressure 5 defense, but he actually does bring the 5. It's the difference between him and Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio liked to play a pressure 5 defense, but hardly ever brought 5. He liked to bring a lot of simulated pressures.
Yeah.
Weaver he has an itchy trigger finger as far as bringing that 5th guy. So I do expect him to bring him, and I expect Willie Gay to be one of those guys that's going to play on those passing downs.
Darn good.
Because he's used them plenty in preseason. There's no reason to use them that much in the preseason and then not use them in the regular season,
And
especially when he had success doing that in the preseason,
Yeah, and they crowd that line so much and then drop the guys. And Jones is just there's something batty in him. I think he's going to mess up. I think that he's going to not know something and it's going to go well. But we'll see. I guess that's the hope. That's the hope. But you got Phillips, Chubb, Chop, Judon too. That's like a guy could still play. You got Gay. Brooks is pretty good at blitzing. Dodson not so much. And then you got Sealer. And then you got Grant. That's a lot. If they've got to be able to generate pressure with that 4 and 5, I just can't. If they don't, then the Colts have had a stellar day. I think that's what it's going to be. I think you're right. It's going to be their offensive line versus our front. How long? How much? That'll be the deal. But now, if they get that protection, I mean, I'm not talking all day. And do you think that this cornerback safety group is going to hold up?
I think they're going to play a system where they're not going to be exposed, but they are going to give up the underneath. Mm-hmm. So they're just going to have to tackle. Like the whole key to success for this team is going to be how well they tackle, because they're going to give up a lot of short passes. Like that's what they're going to give up, and that's what teams are actually going to try to attack Miami with, because they don't want that pass rush to be pinning their ears back. So yeah, they're just going to have to tackle well. And if they do, I think they'll hold up in the near term, for sure. In the long term, I don't know, because the whole issue here is you're going to need health not only from your edge rushers, because they're the engine of, I believe, the entire team, but for your defense, your linebackers, Dodson, Brooks, they're going to have to be healthy, because they're going to have to cover a lot of ground.
Oh yeah. That's where my concern, because there's nobody behind them that can pass cover. So you don't want Gay in coverage. You don't want Britt in coverage. If those two guys stay healthy, it's a huge bonus. But we got to run that football, get time possession, so they don't get burned down.
And they're gonna have a pretty good specialist for Tyler Warren if they're actually going to employ Tyler Warren as a pass receiver in that slot area. Mm-hmm. If they play three safety sets, Ife Malifamu played cornerback for most of his career. So he's a guy that you could just put in the slot to man up on Tyler Warren.
And you feel good about that? You feel good about that?
I actually do feel good about that, because, the guy was a plus cornerback in a man system before. And now he's being asked to play free safety, essentially. So, yeah, it's you don't like one guy moving into a new position, but you don't mind a guy moving from an old position to the new, but having him move back to the old one.
Good point.
For a game or two, because you need
Good point, Ralph. Good point. Good point. Good point.
So I think Ashton Davis is going to be key for this game, especially because I think they want to play those 3 safety sets.
I would take burden off that cornerback group.
Yeah, and I don't know if they want to trust Elijah Campbell, because he's the next man up right now. And the rookies that they kept, man, just didn't play enough. I know they kept Colbert, but Colbert's kind of one-dimensional. He's a free safety type. So we shall see. But, yeah, I do expect them to be pretty important in that regard for this game. I don't think you want to trust Jason Marshall with that assignment.
No.
However.
Too early.
I'd rather trust Jason Marshall with a wide receiver type, a guy that he can get physical with, a short area receiver type. I trust him with that more than I would a big tight end. Because Mo Fallon was a pretty big guy. He's 6'3", 210 pounds.
We got bigger, man. We did get bigger.
Yeah, that's a fact. I don't want to see, and I do want to see Jordan Phillips. The great thing about this is,
tell me about my man. Talk to me about my man.
If they can engineer some type of blowout here, I like to see Jordan Phillips get some of those Benito reps. Where I don't know one reason that Benito is here is because he's really good at doing that wedge pick that they like to run. The best at it was Christian Wilkins. Christian Wilkins would just take out the center and the guard, and here came Sealer untouched. You know what I mean? Benito was actually pretty good at it last year.
He had some nice jumps off the ball too, which was surprising.
Yeah, and the proof is in the pudding, because people are like, oh, but what did Benito do? And they watch him on one run rep or they watch him on another run rep. And I'm like, well, Benito is the valet for Zach Sealer. Zach Sealer had 10.5 sacks. So Benito did his job,
Yep.
and more importantly, Calais Campbell did his job last year. I like to see Jordan Phillips get in that role because that's something that he should excel at because he should be
I can't believe he's doing that good at 20 years old. He's showing real power, man.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I think he's going to be good. I would forecast. Look, they're kind of telling you what they want to do with these guys. Matthew Butler is a pass rush specialist. Okay, they're not going to play him on rundowns. Jordan Phillips, I think, is going to play ahead of Zeke Biggers, and I do forecast Zeke Biggers to be inactive. So I think that they'll run out there just like the Ravens did. They'll run out there with at least 5 defensive tackles.
Yeah.
And Jordan Phillips will be that guy. So the guys you're going to see into heavy rotation will be Kenneth Grant, Benito Jones, and Sealer, with Jordan Phillips as the short yardage and goal line specialist, and Matthew Butler as a pass rush specialist.
Yeah. Now, so Grant's okay, right? Grant's okay?
Yeah, he's going to be fine for this game. Matthew Butler, I would forecast him to play maybe 8 pass rush snaps, something like that. And same for Jordan Phillips. Jordan Phillips will play 8 goal line, short yardage snaps, while the other 3 take up the rest.
Yeah, I think that's fair because he played he had like 40 snaps last year. And so you figure if he's getting 8 snaps a game, that times 10, that's 80, another 7, 56. That's like 130. So he might increase towards the season. He might want that too. Let, Benito, because Benito, I'm not a big fan of Benito, but 350, it's not easy to move that guy. So I just think
and
Phillips,
he moves well for a guy that big.
He came out at like 305. He tacked on another 45, man. Just imagine if Phillips could do that, not to the 350 range, but man, he could easily put on another 20, 25 with like muscle and good weight over the next couple of years.
At his age, he's going to be able to put on that weight rather easily, and not have it hurt his game.
Yeah, no, I'm really happy about him. All right, so I don't want to drag you on. I see you sniffling over there. You having fun partying in the tropics like a stud you are. Not me. I just sit in my dungeon over here. So I don't want to hold you up too long. Give me your, I know it's fickle stuff, but a score. I mean, for me, if the offense and defense even play average together or a little above average together, I think they'll win. But what's the Alf prediction? I don't know if you can give it now. You might want to save that for your podcast. If not, that's okay.
Well, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it tomorrow on the podcast, and I'm going to give the same score. I got Miami something like 27-16, something like that.
All right.
So
I like that.
By 11 points. I think the pass rush is going to be too much for them. I do like some of their offensive linemen, but I remind you, man, this team in 2023, when that pass rush was intact, meaning they had Bradley Chubb and they had Jalen Phillips. When they had those guys, they gave the Eagles fits. And the Eagles have the best offensive line in football.
Yep.
And if you remember, Lane Johnson gave up a sack and almost gave up a second sack, which were the first sack and possibly second sack in 3 years. Lane Johnson had not given up a sack until he met Jalen Phillips. So, yeah, they could give any offensive line trouble. This is a finesse offensive line, save for Quentin Nelson.
Oh, yeah, that guy's – I think he's one of the most powerful guys in the interior in the league.
Yeah, but oddly enough, he's not so great in pass pro. So maybe that's the guy you're going to run. You're going to run your wedge picks against. You know?
That's going to be a real interesting matchup.
Him, and then you try to just loop on Bortolini and the other guard. So I expect the pass rush to be pretty good.
Goncalves. I don't know. I can't pronounce.
Gonzalez.
I think that's going to be a great film look. Is Sealer, Phillips, and Grant versus Nelson. And I think that's going to be a real nice. I mean, I know Sealer can do it, but the two young guys, I think it's going to be a real great film study week. So much to enjoy, man. I'm really excited about this game. I'm trying not to get too excited. I do think there's opportunities for us to lose this game. Irsay died. We're on the road. Do we, can we get the play in on time with all that noise? But to me, it's Jones. If Daniel Jones goes full retard, I agree with you. If somehow he takes his limitless pill and he plays half sane, it could be something. But I do think we should win this one. It's going to be a good one. But I don't want to hold you up again because I could talk to you all day, but I won't. So, Alf, I appreciate everything you've done here. Can you give us the whole list, the menu? It's a full menu of how to reach you and get all the goodness of 3 yards per carry.
Yeah, if you want to become a member of our Discord, you got to go to Discord. You go to discord.gg/onlyfins, and you become a member there. All access for $4.99 a month. If you just want to do the read only, it's $2.99. But why would you do that? And of course, if you want to listen to our podcasts, you can get us anywhere you get your podcasts, and that's at 3 yards per carry. The number 3 yards per carry, which is also the Twitter.
So you got it all, man. It's a great show. I don't say that lightly. I try to evaluate fairly. I'm a hard German judge. I think you guys. I was listening to listening. I was on the Twitter reading Chris Kaufman break down the depth chart, and I just thought he did a really good job. Simon Clancy, he's the draft guy from what I'm told. You got the whole kit caboodle. All you guys do a great job. I know people that do the Discord thing. I try to figure out. We should have a tutorial on how to do it. But they think that your stuff is great. They love it. As you had said the last time, you get into the weeds of things, and that's what this game's about. So if you're not subscribed or discorded to Alf stuff, I suggest you do. They do a great job, and they're one of the best in the business. I always appreciate your time here. Always give me something to think about. So, Alf, thank you for your time. I appreciate your eval. I hope it's 100% right. I hope we rock and roll. I'm tired of the tough journeys through the season. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed. I know you did. They always do. They always rave about your appearances. So, Alf and Curtis saying, "Be well, go Fins." Alf and Curtis out. Start building your own online sports book today by getting signed up with acebread.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.